All right, the conversations as you ride along with me, right? Is that what it's all about? Are you my passengers that drive around? It's funny I kind of say that because when I left the auto parts industry out of high school, I should say out of high school, I went to the automotive industry and I worked at the parts store, and you interact with people all day long. And then I went from that to driving a truck, and it was so depressing because you were just isolated. And for people that drive trucks or kind of self-employed, they kind of relate with that more so back then, because when you rode around a truck in 85, you didn't have a cell phone. If you did, you were a very rich person, but so you didn't have any to talk to. So you were by yourself most of the day. And that's what I'm saying is I think more than ever people would rather have that. Yeah, I think they would. I'd like to hear the comments on that idea. Yeah, what type of company do you own that you can have that type of job? I'm with you. All right, enough yabba dabba. Another little video for the day, and see if anything came out of that one, right? As a measly 30 people watch it. Anyways, hope everybody has a great day, and God bless, and stay tuned for more Ice Age TV videos. All right, today I'm at miles per gallon. I've been in a lot of stop and go traffic, working on a truck. It's actually been running a little bit here and there. And, but going back to my conversation, I always have had a vision of having a company where you're back to the old days. You just don't have, I hope somebody watching my channel would reach out and say, I get it, because I work for a company and it's the constant emails, the constant text messages, the constant, you never can separate yourself from what you're doing. More than ever that goes on, more than ever. What person, we're all guilty of it. What person isn't constantly looking down at their cell phone? Here you go. Here's the guy, I'm going to tell you. Oh, the ongoing technology conversations. You know what? Drive across this front windshield, and it really does darken this interior. I'm sure I like that. And gas, and geez, I gotta take my sunglasses off because it's pretty dark in here. I can open the sunroof on this if I want, but I got to thinking, years, I'm not lying. I just think about things like everybody does, and we all have our own thoughts and views and ideas. But I thought to myself years ago that I want to own a company where you have no cell phone, you have no beeper, and you have a job where you show up in the morning, you're given your responsibilities and duties, and you go do your things you're supposed to do. And if you wish to check in, you could if you wanted to. But for the most part, you go and do what you're supposed to do, and you come back in, and you clock out and go home. I honestly believe that people would sign up for that job today more than ever. Think about this. I can still remember when I got going in my career, especially when I worked in the oil industry as a tanker driver. And we had two-way radios, Motorola radios in the trucks. But for the most part, it was I would show up in the morning at the terminal, and already be paperwork in the truck for me to load what fuels on the truck and where I was going for the day. And so I would do that. I would be in the field all day, and sure, the dispatcher would maybe, would check in on me, make sure everything's okay, or maybe there's a change of delivery or something may come up. But for the most part, it was just I came in and I did my thing, and then I went home. Sure, maybe I see the manager or whoever, but for the most part, it was not anything of me being bothered for the most part. Now, you fast forward to today's working culture, and we all have cell phones, or before that, we had pagers, beepers. For the younger generation, I'm sure like pager, beeper, what the hell is that? Where you had to go to a payphone. A lot of people don't know this, but one of my original beginnings was I used to be in the public telephone business. So I don't know if I've talked about that or not, but I used to own, oh my gosh. So I came out of the oil industry into, which I quit my really nice job that I spent so many years of trying to, I came out of high school, and I've talked about this in great length in our videos. I came out of high school right into the auto parts, automotive industry, did that for 3 years, and then I decided to go back to school part-time and get back to work on a part-time, and I got a job working for an oil company, as I was telling you earlier, about driving a maintenance truck, and then I evolved out of that into managing an heating oil company and driving tanker trucks, and then I evolved into commercial sales as a salesperson, and I still drove tanker trucks to compensate my non-commission money I wasn't making. I wasn't making any money. So it took me about 3 years, from 88 to about 91, for my sales base, I was able to grew enough to be able to make a living off my commissions and not have to drive a truck. So it wasn't really, so 92, I was really starting to do really well. And then a buddy of mine that I worked with convinced me to he didn't convince me, but it just became the old owner tells me what to do, and I pay him, he doesn't pay me, but whatever. And so I just moved on, and I did network marketing, like the Amway type of shish goomba, get up in presentation and get people together and get them all revved up and blah blah blah, and you so too can be so rich, so I did that, and then eventually I moved on from that, and I got in the telephone business, the public telephone business, and then I did very well in that. I did extremely well. And then what I'm talking about is, back in the day, you made phone calls from payphones when you're out in the field. You didn't use a cell phone because they're too damn expensive. And for me, that was a great business. But going back to, I think about that business, and I think about the good old days, and I think to myself on how, people could just not be bugged. I mean, think about that. More than ever, we're bugged all day long. You've heard me talking about my YouTube channel today. It's just people calling me and talking and blah, blah, blah. All right, time out. Oh, why didn't I listen to my gut instinct? How far up the road is this? Oh, my gosh. Yeah, it's road construction. The never-ending road construction. Jesus Christ. So now a guy that's 50 lighting around, he just called me. The freaking windshield got a big old chip in it from a dump truck driving down the road, dumping rock. I mean, there's certain areas around this beltway here that are just bad. I mean, it's just like, it's a whole different world. I mean, no lie. There's a section of the beltway around this DC area. It's 100-mile-an-hour driving. It's just a whole different world. So like on the east side of the beltway, it's crazy. On the left side of the beltway, it's more, a little bit more diplomatic. But I'm not lying. The right side of the beltway, as you're going north in this area, it's just beyond believable what people do. You'll see a guy going down the beltway, wheeling down the beltway in a motorcycle doing 89 miles an hour. Yeah, I saw Rivian coming up the road, and, kind of popped in my head. It's like all about the technology. You know what? If you watch that Rivian, basic review, where I kind of just by accident drove a Rivian vehicle, and I was kind of wanting to video that, but I couldn't because I was on the phone. And it's incredible. That's not I'm sorry, Rivian guys, it's not a truck. I mean, to me, all right, it's a truck, the design of it, but I can't see anybody calling that a full-size truck. It's not a full-size truck. That vehicle in my eyes is borderline a Ranger or a Colorado or a what is the GMC, the Canyon, the Dodge Dakota. I mean, the guys will get all irritated me saying this, but I'm just telling you, the Rivian is not the platform of a full-size truck. And then what I'm bringing up is technology. When I drove that truck, I was like, oh my gosh, there's just too much technology. Yeah, I mean, I just think it's so interesting is where's the manufacturer? I mean, the consumer, you get in your vehicle, you drive down the road, and, you go to point A to point B, and, all this crazy technology. I don't know what's going on here. We got people here that it makes no sense. What's going on? I don't know. It's the roads, fight the roads. So, anyways, yeah, going back to, for me, the irony is that Rivian, I was kind of thinking that would be the right vehicle maybe to buy. Not the price, but if it was priced, and if it would have been priced like 90s, would I have maybe bought it? It's possible. It's possible. But at the same time, I truly believe the gentleman that works for me, if I would have given that to him, I honestly think he'd be like, this is a really cool vehicle, but to be able to do and work out of it and carry, it's just like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And here's the interesting thing. The CEO of Rivian, he is fighting tooth and nail with all these states, the Automotive Dealers Association that band together to, all the automotive dealers band together in these states to protect their franchise rights and their independent dealer, capability. And they're fighting this guy tooth and nail of not being able to, open the door up to all this online ordering and buying vehicles. Whether you realize it or not, there are states that do not allow you to buy a vehicle online. And, so anyways, he is fighting tooth and nail with all these different states, trying to get them to change the laws of the way that vehicles are, purchased and sold. So, and he's been fighting it now for like 5 years. Yeah. So look at this. It's interesting. It's beautiful weather. The weather doesn't talk about rains coming in, but I guess it could. But here we are. So this is the ball game. And this is another road that just befuddles you. This is a major road. I'm not lying to you. I'm not embellishing. 85. I can so remember coming up this road. 1985. When I started working for an oil company, and I went back to school part-time to kind of freshen up my basic math and reading skills and some history and science, and only did it for 1 year, and then I was back to the reality of, I don't want to go to college, I want to go to work. But I worked for this oil company part-time initially, and I was like the maintenance mechanic guy, and I had to drummer to that truck there, and I had to come up here to pick up a 55-gallon drum of oil from another oil company and I'm not lying to you, 1985 looks just like this. 1985. So, you're talking close to 40 years, and this is a major road that comes out of the DC metro area that goes north to the major Frederick, Hagerstown. It's a major road where people commute that live, away from the DC area, that want to have a house and not live in an apartment, and they've never made it any wider. So this road is always, locked down. It's always locked down. It's always. But why is this lane? Think about it, 40 years later. It's 50, 60 years later. Why is this road 3 lanes or 4 lanes? Here's all the time. Build all the houses and businesses and worry about the roads later. It's ridiculous. So anyways, going back to technology, so for me as an individual, the Rivian to me just had too much technology. I don't understand. This is my, if you're watching my YouTube channel, why am I driving? Sincerely, I have the option to get rid of this in a heartbeat, and I could buy an F-150 Lightning all over again. But why? I just enjoy ICE vehicles more. And the good news is, as is I have the options, to own different vehicles, so I can kind of switch it up, switch it around, because I get too bored too quickly. Right? Hey, what's this all about? This is a technology conversation. What are we learning today, Ice Age, man? What are you teaching us? Or, what are you teaching me? Which I like that. I like gentlemen, ladies, anybody out there that, watches my channel, and then like a gentleman here has been commenting to me, hey, your Harley Davidson motorcycle Street Glide is a 6-gallon tank, and your Street Bob has 3.5 gallon tank, and this is why your daughter yesterday was wanting to get gas, because she has a 2.5 gallon smaller tank than you have. And that makes sense, because if she has a 3.5 gallon tank, which we witnessed yesterday, if you watched the Ride Motorcycle Car Meet video, you'll see that she put 2.1 gallons in that tank. Well, 3.5 minus 2.1 is 1.4. So she only had a little over a gallon left. And these bikes are probably, conservative 35 mile per gallon, maybe 40 mile per gallon vehicles. And, so yeah, it was the right thing for us to stop and get fuel, because these vehicles, the bikes were, I don't know what we did. I mean, yesterday, my guess is we did 150 mile day. I'd guess about 100. It was a great day, and that damn Harley Davidson Street I just can't get over how I'm just really liking that bike. Now, do I part with my Indians? No, I'm not going to do that. I mean, I love my Indians, but I just love the change up. And that's what people that are motorheads, they get this stuff. If you have the capability to drive different vehicles, to me, it's all about the change up. It's all about changing up the ride, to different experience. That's what I love about owning different types of vehicles and motorcycles is it's a total change up on, the way you're, it's just a total change up. So you get to be exposed to both. And that's my goal on my YouTube channel, is sharing with everybody, hey, this is what I feel about this versus that. And, hopefully feed you some information that will help you make the right decision, right? Isn't that the goal? Yeah. So, interesting, by the end of this week up here, it's like 60s. It's like next weekend, I think it's like 70s. So, the really nice warm weather. Riding motorcycles, whether res or not, I have ridden on 20-degree days. It ain't no fun. I'm not lying. I've done it. I've had all the heated gear, heated seat, heated grips, heated gloves, heated jacket, heated pants. Yeah, is it fun? It's not. I've ridden on the rainy, cold days. Is it fun? It's not. I mean, motorcycle riding really is all about kind of doing what we did yesterday. It's 80-degree weather. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It's open road riding. I mean, that's riding motorcycles. That's what happened is I used to, I just loved riding motorcycles 10 years ago so much that I just would drive them anytime I could. But as time progressed, it became just too much work. And as we know, the crazies are abundant out here riding around in their cars more than ever. And so it just started becoming more of the motorcycle related to working more than enjoying. And that's why I was eventually like, I'd rather just ride my motorcycle when I have time to ride it and just enjoy my time instead of having to go work off the bike and deal with other problems. Yeah, that's a lot of work. If you ever work off a motorcycle and you get on and off your motorcycle a gazillion times, in the day, and you're stopping and going and in and out of this and going here and going there, you'd be amazed. Especially on a warm day, man, you're like, wow, that's a freaking workout. Riding motorcycles takes a lot out of you. Even though yesterday at the car show, one of the guys that comes by weekly, he's a wild man. He and his buddy rode their BMW K1600 GT, which I came close to buying one of those. And, even back 2018, to me, it was too much technology. Here's another discussion of, the BMW series motorcycles, they have so much technology. I had the newer R1250 series. The technology is just beyond believable of all the different things you got to do to make this work, that work. And if you're just not attached to that one motorcycle, you're lost half the time on what you're doing. So the K1600 GT, beautiful bike, a lot of technology. Just bought an orange one, but he has one, and get this. So he went from the East Coast here, the Virginia area, DC area, to Colorado in one day. They rode 21 hours straight. Oh my gosh! Well, if you're a motorcycle enthusiast, there's the Ironman Butt Award, the Ironman Butt Series, where I'm not lying. It's the challenge of who can ride their motorcycle from, let's just say, Florida to Alaska to, say, New York or Maine and back to Florida, and how long did it take you to do it? Who can do it in the shortest amount of time? Yeah, that goes on. You're crazy. You have to train for that. I mean, you literally have to train to be able to do that. This is real stuff that goes on. And I know some people have done that stuff, and I'm like, no way. I mean, you're talking 3,000 miles, 4,000 miles, 5,000 miles, 6,000. I mean, it's insane miles that you're on a motorcycle, and you're riding 18-hour days at least. And then you're just sleeping and getting up and do it all over again. And then if you go from the Washington state line up to Alaska, you know, part of that road up to Alaska is like dirt. It's a dirt gravel road for hundreds of miles. And until you ride a motorcycle and you ride on like yesterday, we were riding backcountry, and we did go down one road that was, it had gravel on it. It was a paved road, but at the same time, it had loose gravel for repair areas. And when you're on these heavy Harley-Davidson motorcycles, you know, the tires are not designed. These are street bikes. These are not off-road adventure bikes. So you start driving down these roads that have loose gravel on them, you know, it's a little bit nail-biting. You're going down a section of area that just turns all to gravel. You know, the worst thing you can do is do any aggressive turns, aggressive slowing down or acceleration, because that bike, you know, you feel that bike just walking around. I mean, that's what happens. And so, and then what I'm saying to you is, if you do these Iron Man, you know, whatever they call it, you know, things, then what happens is you're exposed to those type of radical roads. So you better be riding kind of more of a multi-purpose adventure bike than a Harley. I just can't see you riding a Harley across country to Alaska and going up those. I mean, I'm sure somebody has. There's some pretty brazen people out there. All right, continue on. Oh boy. Oh, all locked down. So all you do in this DC, Virginia, Maryland area, you just fight the roads. Doesn't end. There's a Rivian going up the road, and oh, here we go. Phone ringing all day long, and it just doesn't end. Oh yeah. Running a company and your conversations and the phone ringing. It's Monday morning. This thing is so badass. This Raptor does rev matching. I mean, is it rev matching? Oh, I'm going to slow down, see what it does. Yeah, it didn't really do it that time, but back at some other places, this thing's so cool. I mean, I'm just telling you, this Raptor truck, it's just so comfortable. You hear that? And they redid the exhaust. They did like a loop on the exhaust in this truck. Try to give a little bit more of a throaty, not such a wimpy V6 noise. You know, for me, my guy and I were talking this morning about how, you know, the F-150 Lightning truck, that's an extremely fast truck. It's like a 6,500-pound empty truck. You know, by the time you put gear in it and fuel and a body, you got a 7,000-pound vehicle in that vehicle. You know, this thing here, to me, it just gets up the road fine. This thing, to me, has plenty of power. And for me, I'll take the 18 miles per gallon. That just scares me at that Ram TRX. I truly believe it's a 10, 12 mile per gallon vehicle. That's the big thing that scares me. Plus, to me, it just doesn't drive like this. But you know, it's a very Ram TRX. You know who the hell I am. Yeah, the odds are I'll end up owning one. When there's a deal on one, I'll probably get one. I mean, who knows? I'm not here to say I won't have one, but anyways, you know, the size vehicle for the power you have in these trucks. You hear that? Probably can't hear it because of all the damn noise. But, you know, so going back to, you know, electric vehicles and the interest in electric vehicles, it's because of what you talked about earlier about the gas prices, which I truly believe that the gas prices are going to go down dramatically. I mean, the painting, I mean, all the indicators are in place, even the point there's an article this morning about how the small producers, the small drillers are actually pulling back. Why? So you have a lot of smaller oil drilling companies in this country, especially in Texas area, that are drilling for oil. And apparently a lot of them have hit their sweet spot, meaning they've found some really good wells that are going to give them great returns long term, but yet they're pulling back. And their investors are telling them to pull back. Why? Well, it's simple mathematics. To me, they see that if they're not careful, they're going to overproduce oil. They're going to be giving away oil. Yeah, hello. This fake supply stuff is starting to become more prevalent than ever. The major retailers are now talking about how they have too many appliances. The Scotts Turf's telling everybody they have too much fertilizer. When does the car manufacturers actually raise their hand and say, you know what? We're right there at that line where if we're not careful, we're going to start building too many new cars again. Yeah, I guarantee you, behind the scenes, the automotive manufacturers saying, we're right there now. We can really start cranking up production again. But why? I guarantee it. Yes. This goes on and on and on. Remember, manufacturing, you have to be looking at 6 months to a year of what's going on. Okay, yesterday I was at the Harley dealer. And remember I was talking about earlier about how, I talk so much, this may be redundant, but we were out and about riding motorcycles, and these towns that we go through are just empty. They're quiet. I'm not embellishing. The towns that I usually go through, and people are just all hanging out for the weekend at the restaurants and going to the shops and antiquing. The list goes on and on and on. All those towns we rode our motorcycles through, dead. You saw us driving down near the river, that Shenandoah River, where people go tubing, and it's hot up here. It's 80s. It isn't 50 degrees out. Where was everybody? Dead. That place is usually packed. And then we're at the Harley dealer. Just a few people are at the Harley dealer. Where is everybody? What's going on? The roads over the weekend, even though I was complaining on Saturday about the damn roads being locked down, but in general, I drive down these back roads and all these vineyards that are in this area where I live, those parking lots were borderline empty. What is going on? I know what's going on. I get it. I've talked about it numerous times. So, it's interesting that the automotive manufacturers are ramping up to build electric vehicles like never before. But wait a second. If this country's economy really does go down the toilet here in the next 6 months to a year, do you honestly believe that people will be lined up buying expensive electric vehicles? If the barrel of oil hits $60 a barrel, it may be in the 40s. That's $2 gas. Do you think a person's really going to want to go out and buy an electric car when they've got a car that doesn't really cost much money to fill up and drive around in? Are you really going to cross the bridge? And then on top of that, if the economy's going down the toilet, odds are used car market will too. So then for you got a used car that was worth 40, that's worth 30, but the new electric vehicle still isn't that much cheaper anymore. It's still getting premium price. Yeah, and all of a sudden the car manufacturers have a lot of electric vehicles sitting on the lot. Where's that story? Is that the future story that, the electric car manufacturers, which is a majority of the manufacturers now, were, they miscalculated, and there's tons of electric vehicles sitting on our lots now that nobody wants to buy. Yeah, and that's what I'm going to go back to. I ran into a couple at the Harley dealer yesterday, older couple, my age, I'm an old man, right? And I hope not. The beard do it? Does the beard do it? So here we go. They really want to buy an RV. There's a couple that really wants to buy, and they were close last year to buying one, but everyone brothers went out buying one. They couldn't find the one they wanted, so they kind of took a time out. Well, here's the latest news for them. They disclosed this to me yesterday. I didn't even ask them. We just started talking about things and about how, it sure is interesting how things kind of seem to be changing around us. And they're like, yeah, the RV dealer that we were interested in the RV just called us this past week and they're taking $50,000 off the RV. 50 grand off. You go back 2 years ago, be so lucky to get one. Here's your price, and you may have to pay more as another person wants it. Yeah, I said, well, I'll be amazed between now and next year. They're like, oh no, we're sitting out now. They're like, nah. And they're, you know what? And they're not even talking to them. They don't even know me personally. They're like, oh, the recession's right around the corner. They're like, next year's a recession, and we're just gonna, we're gonna take advantage of that. Now, how many people? I mean, sincerely, how stupid are people? People are not that stupid. People see the writing on the wall. People understand what's going on right now more than ever. And most people don't trust the media anymore. Yeah, don't trust the media. It's not your friend. Yeah, the media is an agenda to literally make you look like the greatest thing in the world, or they just tarnish you like never ever seen. Yes. So, this is so cool. I mean, this truck does a little bit of this rev matching. I mean, is it rev matching? And it's so confident. The suspension on this Raptor is just so much fun. I mean, it is just so enjoyable. It just soaks up the bumps. It's just a great vehicle. And, and it's a lot of vehicle. Believe it or not, the Raptor is wider than a regular F-150 truck. So this is a whole different animal. So it's a wider, bigger vehicle. It's borderline like driving a dually truck because it's wide. And down the back road, it's awesome. And once again, I'm getting 18 miles per gallon, which that works for me. That 10, 12 miles per gallon, yikes. Yeah, so, the Monday technology conversations, Monday, economy conversations. I say this all the time in my videos. Do I really want to be the YouTube channel that's about the doom and gloom? I don't. But at the same time, to me, the whole automotive industry revolves around the economy. So if I don't talk about the economy, then for me as an individual, like I'm just a guy to talk, and I'd be like, yeah, that's great, but are you in real time, real world of what's going on in our country and the world? Yeah, I mean, we've had incredible challenges, and people have made incredible monies through the pandemic. So to me, it's just a no-brainer. I sincerely believe that the opposite is all about getting ready to happen, in which I think a lot of people, I mean, for me, I think most people are like, it's ridiculous. Everything's too expensive. The realities need to come back. That not everybody's running to the car dealership to buy a car anymore. Or are they? Yeah, look at you, buddy, you hypocrite. Not everybody's running to the RV dealership to buy an RV. Everybody's running. I don't know. I'm not in that industry. I could be a guy right now that sells boats could tell me I'm full of baloney and that they can't keep boats in stock and they got a waiting list for the next year and there's nothing going on their end. It's boating industry is beautiful. I have no idea. Literally, I have no idea. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I just know the boat dealer that's close to me where I bought my boat, I drove by there the other day. They had a lot of boats sitting around their front parking lot. I know I was down in Florida this past summer. I saw a lot of boats sitting around boat dealerships, more than I've ever seen in recent times. I know I was out boating in the water. It seemed to me like there wasn't as many people out there. My father and brother go boating, and they share with me stories when they're out. They're telling me here a few weeks ago that the waterways were empty. I get it. Well, school's back in. Okay, whatever. Make excuses. It seems more than ever in our lifetime, the key word anymore is excuses. Just make excuses. Instead of just, looking in the mirror and saying, hey, this is the reality. Listen to this truck. This thing is so, yeah, you're probably like, yeah, buddy, whatever. But that's the, I'm getting, don't get me wrong, I know. Me having these different vehicles. If you look at me, just in the last week, how many different vehicles have I driven just in the last week? I can't even keep track. My guess is going to be I drove the Ram 3500. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty accurate on that, which I kind of. And then we know we drove the Dodge Challenger over the weekend. Oh, I drove the Ford Bronco. I drove the motorcycles. So, just for me in a week's time, this is no lie. And I'm not lying. I'm not embellishing. I have in one day I remember driving, I think, 4 or 5 different vehicles in one day. This is back when I used to have to get my kid at school all the time. I used to be the parent to go out of the way to take care of my daughter, and I would go pick her up from school. Yeah, I did that every day. She sometimes rode the school bus, but I would try to make my schedule work. And so it would just be, I get up in the morning, have to go. Well, back in the day, I would drive her to school, which was like that was 80 miles round trip. Then I'd come back. Then I'd jump in a different vehicle. Then I'd go out and work and come back. And then I would jump in another vehicle. And then I'd go to school to go pick her up. And I'd come back home and I'd go run some errands. I can't remember which day. I just can't remember. But it was like one of those days where I swear I drove 4 or 5. It may have been the day where I was having car service as well. I was flipping cars. Yeah, I'm not a car dealer. Some people think I'm a car dealer. I'm not. I'm just a motorhead to the max. So anyways, as we continue the conversations on the enjoyment of the Raptor truck, and a lot of people are like, why don't you get the Raptor? I asked Koons Baltimore Ford to put an order in for me for a Raptor R. They won't do it. I don't get that. I don't understand what's going on there. Do I really want a Raptor R? I got a V6 twin turbo 550 horsepower truck. I mean, this thing's so much fun, but yeah, okay. It's still, my word is it ain't good. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's never good enough. That's the danger in life. It's never good enough. Yeah, if you're a married person or working person, you do things, but it's still not good enough. You have these stories? Yeah, I'm sure you do. Well, one thing about black trucks in the summer months, you are hot. Yeah, black vehicles. I've always been not excited about black vehicles because they're so hot, and I know that they're harder to keep that pretty beautiful clean look to them, even though they do kind of hide the dirt to a degree. Yeah, so $2 gas doesn't make people want to. This morning the gentleman that works for me and I were talking just about this. We were talking about how he loves that F-150 truck, but it's a $90,000 truck because I had to pay over ADM, but it's an $80,000 truck. Sales tax, you're $85,000, extended warranty, service, gap, blah, 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 blah. You're at over $90,000 in the truck. And you stop and think about it. I mean, for us, we're living out of our vehicles and we're driving tons of miles. But sincerely, for the average person to justify spending $90,000, if you get the platinum package, you're at over $100,000. If you live in, apparently, if you live in California, people are paying $140, $150 for these things. $130. Wow. Yikes. Yeah. So at the end of the day, if you run the numbers, you'll never get back. If you buy an F-150 truck, and yeah, I mean, if you get a King Ranch F-150 truck, yeah, you're going to be in that $70,000. You get the F-150 Tremor truck, you're in that $70,000 range. Yeah, so in that number there, yes, yeah, if you're kind of comparing that, if you don't pay ADM, then yeah, within reason, yeah, it kind of makes sense to a degree. But if you're the average person that just wants a nice truck, and you want to pick up a nice used F-150 truck, which you're smarter to do that, especially if I owned it, because you're going to get like a brand new truck. Think about the guy that bought my F-150 Tremor truck. He got a great truck. Think about the guy that just bought my F-350 Tremor truck. He just got like a brand new truck. Think about the guy that just bought my F-150 Super Snake. He just got like a brand new truck. I can just start going through the list. The Toyota Avalon TRD package, 2 years old with, 6,000 or whatever miles. That person's got a beautiful car. I can just keep on going on and on and on. I've always have said in my life, how do I find me? How do I find me to find these low mileage cars and I save a ton of money? But even though today, in today's market, you don't really save a ton of money, but you get a nice vehicle. So going back to, if you buy a nice F-150 used truck for $50,000, I mean, you're miles ahead of the guy that spent the money on the electric car. I mean, the electric truck. I mean, so, but I get it. I understand. It's about the technology. It's about the experience, and which is all great. But when it comes to math, more than ever, think about this. All we ever hear about is the science. They're just the constant driven messages. Well, the science says this. Yeah, right? Yeah, if anybody's kind of really real about things, you got to take it with considerations. I'm not saying science isn't good for us. I'm saying that you got to be within reason. I mean, I can so remember. Does anybody remember all the hurricanes going through Florida like 10, 15 years ago? I mean, I can remember so well. The scientists predicted that the age of hurricanes in that southern part of our country, the Florida, the Gulf area, Texas, New Mexico, the Bahamas, Cuba, all that area was going to be destroyed on a regular basis. I'm not embellishing here. All you heard was the scientists saw that the geological, the weather patterns had changed, and you're going to see so many more hurricanes. And yeah, we've had hurricanes, but it's really weird. And the season's not over. I get all that. I could be eating my words. But, it's been awful quiet down there. I mean, I know Cuba, I'm pretty sure if it's Cuba, whatever, small island just got slammed by a major hurricane, tropical storm, 85-mile-an-hour winds, and 30 inches of rain. So, yeah. But at the same time, I can remember the scientists telling everybody 10 plus years ago that the hurricanes would be much more devastating and much more common. It would not be uncommon to see 20 hurricanes in a season, if maybe not 40. I mean, you think I'm making this stuff up? Why would I make it up? What comes from that? The message here is the science. So going back to electric vehicles, it's all kind of off our science, teachings and learnings and understanding that, we're coming to closure and electric vehicles have to be because of science, because of the future, and so I'm just on the page in life where I'm not believing all of that. Can I take it and chop it up and analyze it and think about it? Yes. But we kind of know these conversations, and it borderline. It's unfortunate, but science then takes an agenda and it takes a political party. It's just incredible where we are in the media machine and blah, 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 blah. So going back to, the technology conversations this morning that I started the morning conversations off, and now here I am in a really cool truck. It's really cool technology. Like right now, if I go to drive modes down here, which I didn't even know this. I didn't even know in my F-150 Tremor truck that you had to go down here to go to drive modes, to get this thing to go to sport, and all of a sudden the truck just becomes a whole new vehicle. I mean, this really does just open the vehicle up. And each car, I talked about that. If you watch my Gold Rush video on Saturday, me riding around my Dodge Challenger Gold Rush for the first time since I've owned it. Oh, here's a call. Yeah, so now we're in the Raptor truck, and the V6 twin turbo. I mean, I just love these Raptors, and I just love the truck. And some guys are like, yeah, but you should have that V8 Ram TRX, which you've had that conversation 50 times in my adventures. Did I do that right? Can't remember how I did my barn, and there it is. It's every vehicle is different in these home links. I usually go 1-2, 1-2, and I goofed up on this one. I went 1-3. Or 2-3, or who even knows. So yeah, it's all about the Raptor truck today, which I haven't driven. I just can't keep track of time. I mean, when's the last time that I drove this vehicle? I mean, honestly, I don't know, 2 weeks ago? And anybody watch my channel, I mean, so it's so cool. Look, I have 610 miles to go. And a gentleman that works for me just left in the F-150 Lightning truck. And he probably has at best 300 miles to go. And yeah, I get it. It's going to be, more efficient since he charged it from the house this morning to drive around that vehicle. But if he's out on the road, I'm not so sure about that. We've had so many conversations of just about what I'm talking about on this electric vehicle technology. And the reason I'm kind of bringing this up, it's interesting. I was reading a conversation last week about Porsche. Think this through. Well, but I can understand it's the wealthy people. To me, the electric technology is, it's latest, greatest. How does mankind operate? Here's that runs up my street every day. This guy does this every day. He just like clockwork. This guy just is a warrior. He doesn't give up. I just don't want to run him over, right? My neighbor. So, good guy, nice guy. So anyway, so Porsche, and I don't know that name of that new four-door electric car. If it's the Taycan, I think it is. I mean, I'm just not. You have no idea. When I was growing up, I always wanted a 911 turbo Porsche. I mean, I really did back in the 80s. But then I could have a 911. I just, what's going on? I can have the Beamers. You know what I mean? I mean, why? I mean, I've had all that high-end stuff, and I just love the good old American boy stuff. Really, that's just really the way it plays out. I'll put the windows up here so you don't get all the noise out of my truck here. You can't hear me. So yeah, apparently Porsche is outselling the Taycan, electric four-door vehicle over the 911 Porsche. Now, part of me is like, Porsche has such an array of vehicles, but at the same time, the message is for the performance-oriented individual, they're wanting that electric four-door over the 911. But you know what? I've run into some pretty wealthy people, and the select few I've run into, the wife wanted that four-door car. Yeah. So there's the technology aspect where on that end, more than ever, is a whole other article, and I didn't even read all of it. You can kind of read the headlines and kind of get the gist of what's going on. But the auto manufacturers, they were not prepared for the electric craziness of people on electric vehicles. And I tell you what, I mean, how do I get paid? I predicted, and this isn't me embellishing or bragging, I'm just telling you. I have friends and family that would say what I'm telling you is factual. I said over a year ago that the third quarter of this year would be the eye-opener of how this country's going down the toilet. And fourth quarter is going to be drop your jaw. Yeah, it's happening. There's retailers are now talking about how they're not seeing the people show up to buy the appliances for their brand new home. Yeah, how are the new home sales going? How's the housing market doing? It hasn't crashed. I'm not saying that. Is it adjusting? It's adjusting. How bad or good is it? We'll see. Time will tell. But definitely times are changing in that market. And that radiates back to, home improvement. It radiates back to people buying new things. The list goes on and on and on. And you're saying, well, yeah, what's that have to do with new cars? I'm leading up to the new car electric vehicles. I should say, define that. What's it have to do with the electric vehicle conversation? How many conversations have I had of that? And why aren't you driving your Mach-E today, your Ford Mustang Mach-E? Well, it's because it has close to 12,000 miles on it. And I don't want to run that thing into the ground. I want the option, if I want to get rid of it, I can get rid of it. That's always my mindset when I have cars. These aren't cheap vehicles. You always have to have the escape route. Ask me how I know. Ask me how many times I've been burned on having nice cars and the economy crashes and I'm part of the fiasco. Yeah, ask me how I know. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, the electric manufacturers weren't ready for this wave of people wanting electric cars. Yes, it's because we didn't have expensive fuel. I'm telling you right now, $2 gas changes the attitude. I got a customer here I got to take care of. Hey, welcome to Ice Age TV, and the conversations continue. What am I driving today? For me, I just live on the road, and over the weekend, conservative, I drove 300 miles, conservative, and today be another 150 mile day. Tomorrow will be a 200 plus mile day. So here's the thing: I'm parking the Bronco today, and some people are like, why should you buy the Bronco? Well, the thing has 10,000 miles on it. That's why. And the Raptor truck I just got, that doesn't have many miles, and plus I'm going to drive my Raptor. So I'm going to get in the Raptor. It's just so interesting how each vehicle has its own personality. And my poor Raptor needs to be cleaned. So that's a whole other project.